Luoteis-Englannin Southportin puukotus kiristää ilmapiiriä Britanniassa. Äärioikeistolainen ryhmä on kutsunut illaksi mielenosoituksen pääministerin virka-asunnon eteen Lontooseen. Eilisissä mellakoissa Southportissa loukkaantui ainakin 39 poliisia. Ryhmä syyttää 3 lapsen hengen vaatineesta joukkopuukotuksesta Britannian maahanmuuttopolitiikkaa. Ja Britannian kirjeenvaihtajamme Kirsi Crowley on pääministerin virka-asunnon tuntumassa siellä Downing Streetillä. Niin Kirsi, kerro, mitä siellä siis tällä hetkellä tapahtuu?
No, tänne on nyt kerääntynyt joukko. Tällä hetkellä näyttää vielä aika pieneltä, mutta äänekäs joukko kuitenkin maahanmuuttovastaisia ihmisiä poliisin mukaan, äärioikeistolaisia. Tuolla on nuo kyltit, joissa lukee Stop the Boats, eli pysäyttäkää veneet, mikä on ollut tämä heidän iskulauseensa. Eli he haluavat, että turvapaikanhakijoiden tulo tuolta kanaalin yli loppuu. Nämä on käytännössä samaa väkeä, samanmielistä väkeä kuin mitä nähtiin Southportissa eilen, mutta se väki oli hyvin väkivaltaista ja siellä sitten kymmeniä poliiseja loukkaantui ja tässä vieressä onkin iso määrä poliisin pakettiautoja valmiina siihen, että jos tämä joukko ryhtyy jälleen väkivaltaisesti mellakoimaan.
No, mitä tästä epäilystä puukottajasta tällä hetkellä tiedetään?
No, nämä mielenosoittajat ovat olleet sitä mieltä, että tässä olisi taustalla terrorismia. Somessa on levinnyt paljon juttua siitä, että tämä puukottaja olisi ollut islamistinen turvapaikan hakija, joka olisi ollut turvallisuuspalvelujenkin tiedossa. Mutta poliisin mukaan tämä kaikki on valetta. Tämä oli nuori 17-vuotias mies, joka on syntynyt ja kasvanut Britanniassa. Hän on etniseltä taustaltaan ruandalainen, koska hänen vanhempansa tulivat tänne. Asui keskiluokkaisella alueella sen Southportin tuntumassa ja on sitten ollut kuitenkin hyvin kuulemma introvertti ja poliisi ei yhäkään tiedä hänen motiiviaan.
No mitä siellä hallitus nyt aikoo tehdä tämän tilanteen rauhoittamiseksi?
No, pääministeri on sanonut, että nämä eiliset mellakoijat aiotaan ottaa kiinni ja panna syytteeseen, koska siitä ollaan nyt todella järkyttyneitä. Tietysti nyt odotetaan sitä, että mitä poliisi tuossa tutkinnassaan havaitsee tuosta nuoresta miehestä. Hänestä ei pystytä paljon kertomaan, koska hän on alaikäinen. Mutta selkeää täällä on se, että tämä äärioikeisto on tulossa entistäkin äänekkäämmäksi ja valmiina ottamaan niin kuin hyvin tällaisia väkivaltaisiakin otteita. Ja se tulee olemaan nyt iso paine tälle uudelle hallitukselle.
Kirsi, kiitokset näistä tiedoista sinne Lontooseen.
Britannian Southportissa puhkesi eilen väkivaltaisiksi yltyneitä protesteja kaupungissa tapahtuneen veitsi-iskun jälkimainingeissa. Lasten tanssikoulun maanantaina kohdistuneessa veitsi-iskussa kuoli 3 lasta. 5 lasta ja 2 aikuista on edelleen kriittisessä tilassa. Poliisi on pidättänyt tapaukseen liittyen 17-vuotiaan pojan. Poliisi selvittää tapahtumien motiivia, mutta ei tällä hetkellä tutki tapahtumia terroritekona. Poliisi uskoo puukottajan toimineen yksin.
Luoteis-Englannissa Southportissa kymmeniä poliiseja loukkaantui eilisiltana veitsi-iskun jälkeisissä väkivaltaisuuksissa.
Maanantain puukotuksissa kuoli 3 alle 10-vuotiaista tyttöä. Äärioikeistolaisten mellakoitsijoiden uskotaan käyttäneen lasten kuolemia omiin poliittisiin tarkoituksiinsa.
Levottomuudet alkoivat pian sen jälkeen, kun lähistöllä oli pidetty rauhallinen muistotilaisuus veitsi-iskun uhreille. Mellakoitsijat hyökkäsivät moskeijaa kohti, heittivät tiiliä ja pulloja myös poliiseja päin, tuhosivat autoja ja ryöstivät kaupan.
You could hear shouting, you could hear rubble being thrown, windows smashing. It was really scary, really scary.
What I saw last night was absolutely appalling, and the people that came to do this weren't from Southport.
I feel like unsafe to stay in Southport really. Before I just feel okay because it's quiet area.
Eri mediatahojen mukaan väkivaltaisuuksien takana oli nationalistisen ja anti-islamistisen ryhmän jäseniä ja tukijoita. Paikalla kuultiin muun muassa Englanti kunnes kuolen huutoja. Väkivaltaisuudet alkoivat vain muutama tunti sen jälkeen, kun Britannian pääministeri oli toivonut sureville perheille rauhaa.
I am very worried about high levels of knife crime and I'm absolutely determined that my government will get to grips with it.
Maanantaisen veitsi-iskun jälkeen sosiaalisessa mediassa on levinnyt useita vääriä tietoja sekä nimiä 17-vuotiaasta epäilystä. Poliisi sai tänään lisäaikaa pojan kuulustelemiseen.
As a local community, we just got together. I was here from 6:30 this morning because I woke up and just thought, I'm going to go and do my bit, and then borrow this broom from one of the people who was outside. I want everybody to keep in memory that this is about the girls and the tragedy which has happened.
With what happened last night, nobody condones any kind of riots or demonstrations that are not peacefully organised or implemented. But when you see in the wake of all the pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protests that we've seen across almost this entire year, almost every weekend, and see the policing that was implemented in those instances, and then look at what happened last night, one has to feel that this is only feeding into the discontent that the general nation is feeling right now. And, you know, one of the biggest enemies to the police right now is itself.
Yes.
In terms of it not being honest and not being transparent in many regards, which wouldn't prejudice the trial against, say, the perpetrator of the Southport massacre, and I don't think we can call it anything less than that, by not revealing key information which can't be quirked by false news and by false speculation.
Exactly right. I mean, some interesting stories this morning in the papers about the origin of some of that false information. I mean, according to a couple of investigations in the papers this morning, there was a link to a Russian website which sparked that particular riot up in Southport on the first night, because this was where the original piece of information came that the person responsible had a particular name which turned out not to be true, was a migrant who had crossed the channel on a boat recently, which also turned out not to be true, who was a Muslim, which turned out not to be true, you know. But it's interesting that these places, I think it was called Channel 3 News, this particular website, that has now apologised and withdrawn the claim.
Yeah, well, that's not going to make a great deal of difference. Even that, you know, we're fully aware that one of the biggest problems that we have is social media and the amount of information that can move very, very rapidly, like wildfire, from one site to another, can be reposted. And that particular instance, that Russian website or supported website, was information that was subsequently reposted by Andrew Tate, for example. And Andrew Tate's got a huge following. So, and a lot of people will listen to him verbatim in terms of what he says. Now, that is the biggest problem. You know, the general public have to be reminded that they have to go to news sources which they can trust. I mean, I'd like to say, you know, you guys at Talk Radio, you are one of the trusted sources. We know there's high suspicion about mainstream media, Hugh Edwards being a case in point. You know, there's a lot of distrust out there by the general public, and a lot of people are going to social media for their news. Now, if the police had released more information, particularly just on the profile of the perpetrator, so that they could clean up some of that speculation, then we may not have seen the riots as we have done outside Downing Street and Southport. And again, the problem with these types of things, I've dealt with disorder and I've dealt with protests in the past, Mike. The weather is a contributing factor. We've had some fantastic weather this week, and that in itself will bring people out. I can tell you, if it was raining out there, you wouldn't have seen anything like the numbers.
No, of course. But as I was saying earlier as well, it's wrong to sort of paint all of the protesters as these kind of thugs who have come in from sort of some kind of football hooligans website and decided just to cause trouble. Have a look at this 73-year-old protester pleading innocence.
You just ran into me. You've just all... I've got a pacemaker. I've got a pacemaker. I've got a pacemaker. And they've just arrested me for walking up here.
No, to reach for section 35.
Oh, because of their... You want to do them any tighter?
That's why I'm trying to lock them so they can stop getting tight.
Well, actually, you're really tightening them.
Well, I'm not.
You really are tightening them and you're really making me... You what?
So can you relax?
You joking?
5 seconds.
Are you joking? I've never been arrested in my life.
Madam.
I have, don't you miss, don't you, I have never been arrested in my life. I'm 73 years old and I have come here because of them babies who's died and I am being arrested.
See, that's just not a very good look for the police, is it, Will? Whichever way you want to try and sell that to anyone, that is not a good look.
No, the optics on this are terrible. And I mean, and again, you know, as you and your guests were saying this morning, Mike, and I was listening to earlier, you know, even with the Greater Manchester Police, information was not released clearly enough right from the get-go. And yes, that police...
Following a tragic stabbing incident in Southport which killed 3 children. We saw riots break out in Southport, which was supposedly, according to Merseyside Police, linked to supporters of the English Defence League. Now we are here in London, right by Downing Street, where protests are here again, where people are asking for more protection on knife crime, as well as potential links to far-right movements.
It's 17 years old and it's on your watch list.
You just mentioned that name. Merseyside Police has confirmed that is not the name of the suspect. But that's not the name of the suspect.
It's not the name of the suspect, really.
It's not.
Really?
Merseyside Police
Well, then we're
has
being
confirmed
lied to the police, to the general public, the BBC, everybody else. We've been compulsively lied to.
What are you most angry about?
What? Ali Shaktai. That's the kid's name. It is the name. It is the name.
Children we're talking about.
That's all about our children. Move back. Stay back.
Why are you being arrested?
I'm here for my little girl. I'm standing here peacefully protesting. I've been arrested. I've been arrested for peacefully protesting.
People that come from other backgrounds now, they don't even like this country. So what are they doing over here? They're spreading hate.
What was it specifically about the Southport attack that upset you?
What do you think? For little girls, I've got kids.
What did you make of the riots yesterday in Southport, though?
It's right.
You think it was right?
Yeah, it should be right. If someone done that to my kids, I would kill every one of their family, and I don't give a and these lot here would all stand with me, because it's wrong.
I mean, yesterday was around 40 policemen that were injured.
Well, they should be on our side. They're protecting
I mean, they were there to intervene with the attack on Monday.
They don't do nothing.
Did you watch Nigel Farage's video yesterday?
Yeah,
what did you think of it? Some say that he was inciting, escalation.
We need Nigel Farage in, we need Donald Trump in, we need people like that in. Anyone that tells the truth gets basically targeted as a far right.
Go to the right.